Here we go again. Y'all know what it is. Is let's get to it. And that's a tour with a you because I always got you in mind. Keep that in mind. Um, got a great topic today. Excellent topic today. Uh, I want to talk about blind spots. Blind spots. You know, why are we hypocrites until something happens to us until we get that wake up call? Blind spots. Why are we hypocrites until we get that wake up call? I want to talk about, a lot of times you got people that they may know someone that is violating, wronging, bullying, attacking physically, attacking psychologically, you know, I don't know how it is in every area, but they call it putting salt on people's name, you know, throwing dirt on people's name. People say, man, keep my name out your mouth. Make my name taste like shh in your mouth. And it's it goes past verbiage. Cause sometimes you might have somebody that, they attack people, they beat them up, put hands and feet on them. Somebody might pull firearms on people, rob them, go as far as to, you know, shoot them and do all types of things that assault another person's person. Not not to double up on the words like that, but some of the things amount to assault. Some of the things amount to violence, and people will see that, and being that it's directed towards someone else and not to them, I think they don't look at it like it is not real to them. It's not real to them, and I don't know where that comes from, but it's not real to them. So it's like they ignore it. They turn a blind eye to it. They call it will for blindness. And like I say, why are we hypocrites? Like that makes you a hypocrite if, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, for example, she was lockstep with Trump all the way to the lockdown, and then she started parting ways with Trump because she realized her children would be affected by the increases in health care. Her own kids would feel some of the pain, which, she would probably have to cover. So it started to affect her personally. And that's when she started to deviate now. All throughout, Trump has never changed. He's always been the same person. He's always been salacious. He's always been verbally violent. He's always, like, it seems like, corrupt, morally bankrupt. Like some of the stuff he does, it really hurts people. Sometimes it may cost people their lives. And it's like some of the things he do, I view them as inhumane. If not towards me, towards another group of people, if not towards my group of people. And we'll look at it and you see it and it is appalling. It's shocking. And it's like others will look at it and don't see it and they look all around it. They look all around it, and they don't. It seems like it don't bother them, and it's like I don't get it because it's like you saying the economy supposed to be good and excuse all this other stuff you don't agree with, like when he's hurting people, and it's not Trump. It's a lot of situations from neighborhood to neighborhood, not just in bad neighborhoods, but also in good neighborhoods. People will see something and ignore it until it happens to them or somebody they love. And then they up in arms. You know, prime example, Omarosa. She locked step with Trump. You know, having weddings all in the White House. And soon as Trump turned his ire towards her, that's when it changed. That's when it's no longer the same. You know, now he's a racist. Before that, you wasn't saying he was a racist. But now that, you know, what he does negatively affects you or he kicking you out the White House, now you can see why everybody's upset with him. Michael Cohen, his fixer, his lawyer, locked step with Trump until, you know, they parted ways. And now he got a podcast. Like, he dedicated his life to attacking Trump. And it's like everybody else could see this, but being you indoors, you know, I don't want to use the ninja term, but you know, you indoors and some people outdoors. And while you on the inside, you don't see nothing wrong with nothing he does. And it's like, that's almost preposterous. That's preposterous. I don't get how people can operate like that. And I think it's just a gap in empathy. Like, you can't, like, why do you have to get shot, stabbed, you know, attacked verbally, assaulted? Why do you have to feel that pain for it to register? Why I can't register to see somebody else going through pain and you to sympathize with them? Why you can't do that? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, look at me. It shouldn't take for you to go through it to recognize it's wrong. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. And that's what we got to work through. That's what we got to get away from. Let me get a sip of this tea here, man. Another Republican. I think he from Indiana, if I'm not mistaken. Trump used the term, I think he said retarded or something like that, or slow. And the Republican official, happens to have a child with Down syndrome, so you know, he fell out with Trump, and he's saying, you know, I'm not gonna pass your gerrymandering redistricting bill because you talk like that. Maybe in when you get your verbs together and you start talking right, maybe 9 months to give you some time to get it together. And you know, to me it just sounded crazy because that's all he do is talk greasy about people. Tell them they coming from ish-hole countries. Tell them like he could grab them by the cucaracha. All types of, like, it's insane. It's insane some of the stuff that this man is saying do. Like, I almost want to call it demonic and wicked. It's almost like everything that you grew up learning, right from wrong, he on the opposite side of all of that. And I don't get it. Like, do you have to have an individual wake up call for you to see it? Or can you see some? That's like if you see somebody, you know, you see a couple fighting and arguing on the street, and the guy just haul off and start hitting her and beating her. Like, it don't take a rocket scientist to see he hurting her. It ain't like it don't take much. It don't take much. And sometimes you ain't got to physically get involved. Sometimes you acknowledging it or saying something is enough to stop it. Because some people might be fearful. And I don't blame you for being fearful. Everybody ain't got a courageous heart. But that doesn't define you as a person. But you acting as if you don't see anything and you ignoring the whole situation and walking by and disregarding everything because it isn't you or is it your loved ones. Like, that makes you wrong. That makes you almost deplorable because people are suffering. And sometimes all it takes is for you to acknowledge it. Acknowledge the hurt that people going through instead of acting like it doesn't exist. This was a main issue that a lot of, Black Americans, whatever you want to title us as, Black people, that's from not the Africans, not the, specifically Blacks. We were at odds because we know what racism feel like. We know when we being handled, like, and we usually say something. We verbalize it, and others, it seems like it falls on deaf ears. When you seeing a child being shot down or a guy being choked out with a knee on his neck, and, people will sit there and be like, well, what did he, is as if it didn't happen. And it's like, why do people, like, do you think people deserve to be harassed? Do you think people deserve to be corralled up without no due process? Do you think people deserve to be killed? And it's like, it's too simple to say, what if it was you? How would you feel? And like, I was watching the podcast and the lady was talking about how people are undocumented, and the guy was like, some of these people, they going through the process. They going through the process, and some of them have actually, went through the process. And she was saying, well, they still not legal. Some of they, citizenships need to be revoked, and they need to go back and undo some of this stuff. They come to find out her parents were immigrants. And he said, then, should your parents? No, they did it the right way. And it's like, how can you separate yourself from what's right in front of you and claim or feel as if you're any different from the next person? Like, do you feel like God just set you to the side and say you special? All of the good stuff in life belongs to you and solely you. All the protections, like all the laws, all the privileges, all the resources, it only belongs to you and yours. That's laughable. That's laughable. And it shouldn't be that way. And it shouldn't take for others to go through the same exact pain and struggle in order for it to register. I don't want to keep talking because it's frustrating me. It's frustrating me that, but I've been through this though. I've been knew this a while ago. When I was young, you know, I seen it in a different light because when I was young, I used to get bullied a lot. And, my father's a tall person, so I knew I would get big. I had a growth spurt a little bit late, but once I had a growth spurt and started getting bigger, like I was always a little tall for my age. But once I started getting bigger, you know, I, s- I stopped being bullied. And, I realized that sometimes people, I realized that early, like, people don't respect it unless they don't pressure bust pipes. That's the term that was used, pressure bust pipes. And like a lot of times people would do something to me and I give it back to them in the same measure. And the first thing they'll say is, why you tripping, man? Why you do all that? And I'm looking at them, I don't even respond. Because this is past words. You cross that line, you know, I'ma show out. I'ma show up and show out. That's my policy now. Once you cross a certain line, you know, the gloves is off. It don't mean we got to come to no physical blows. Don't mean we got to have an altercation. But once you cross a certain line, I'm not gonna mince words with you. I'm gonna give you what you giving me. That way, I ain't got to explain to you how I feel. You can feel it yourself, and then you can make the adjustments from there. It ain't gonna be just me feeling a certain way. We both gonna feel a certain way, and that way, I ain't even gotta explain to it. You might be able to break it down to me. Like I've had that happen before, when after the situation unfolded, people come back to me and tell me about they missteps, you know, they mistakes that they made in the situation that led up into the final result. And like I learned that and I apply it because a lot of times like people gotta get that wake up call. And it's a shame that they gotta get it, but it seemed like reality just don't sink in, and it's like you can't be that oblivious because some of these same things you teach your children. Some of these same things you demand for yourself. So it's like, how? But I'm about to wrap this up because it's getting late and I gotta wake up early in the morning. I gotta grind, get this bread, y'all. But y'all know what it is, man. Let's get to it. And that's a tour with a you because I always got you in mind. Keep that in mind. I'm out of here, y'all.